Guitar Wishes and your Guitar Wish of the day. This is Lee coming in once again from our beautiful Guitar Wishes facility here in downtown Lincoln, North Carolina, with a great friend of mine. This is Brandon Church, everybody. Hey, man.
Hey, good to see you, brother.
Thanks so much for showing up and doing this with us today.
Yeah.
Today, what we wanted to do, it's been a week or so, and we wanted to take some time and really reflect and go back and just kind of talk about Eddie Van Halen. You know, passed away about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And all big Van Halen fans around here. But we wanted to take our time and think of some things to talk about and do an Eddie Van Halen tribute show for your Guitar Wish of the day. And Brandon has graciously come in, and he's going to show us the guitar he made here and play us a few licks. One of the best guitar players I know. So thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming. First off, let's talk about this, man. You know, this is the Kramer replica 5150.
Yeah.
Now, Eddie started with Frank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But this came along around 84, correct?
Yeah, I think 84 tour was the first time he took it out, yeah.
Yeah, and so what he did, moving from Frank to this guitar, what is the difference from the Frank and Strat to this?
Well, the Frankenstein, you know, it was an ash body guitar with a maple neck and originally no Floyd Rose, Strat trim, pain in the butt to keep in tune. And,
oh, yeah.
And I think, and it also, you know, had to pick guard or it didn't there at one point. It was just a bunch of mess, you know.
Sure.
But just a different sound. I think Eddie, when he went to Kramer, it was cool for him because he was having a company make him a guitar.
Right.
Is what it come across to me. And
yeah.
Nothing to ever take away from the Frankenstein, though.
No,
it changed the
never.
world.
Oh, absolutely it did. Now, when you think of tone, does this guitar compare with Frank? When you listen to those albums, when you listen to 84 and in comparison.
I think the earlier records were definitely a different tone. You know, I don't... personally, I think this guitar was just a different body wood, and it's just a different sound. I think his sound became not as bright, not as aggressive sounding, you know.
Is this where the Brown sound originated, do you think?
Well, I think the Brown sound changed over the years. I think it's whatever Eddie likes at the time.
It's just Eddie's tone, whatever Eddie's playing.
Yeah, I think he wanted something that was sustainy and warm, and but still smack you in the face. You know?
Yeah, even as late as 2017, 2018, you hear him talking about he's still chasing tone.
Oh, yeah.
Still,
yeah.
even with the invent of the 5150s from his company and the Wolfgang's, the EVH brand.
Yeah, and like we were talking earlier, I mean, this is probably the 10th one of these I've built, and every one of them, same wood or whatever it may be, and they all sound different, but I ended up really loving this one. So I think for Eddie, it was probably the chase, you know?
Yeah, continuing the chase. Yeah. And, you know, when you look back at that first album, you know, one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to talk about kind of each album, talk about our favorite songs from each album, and kind of the evolution of what Van Halen, from where they started to where they ended up. And, you know, when you talk about that first album, I don't know about you, but for me, I don't know if it's considered a song as much as it is an instrumental, but Eruption, I mean, I don't know how you could go wrong off that first album. What do you think?
Oh, no, man. I mean, it's a phenomenal, you know. For me, I mean, you know, when I was a kid, I heard it on the radio before I heard the record. And so I didn't actually hear Van Halen 1 till later.
Right.
After I'd heard a whole bunch of other things. And I remember when I bought it, and this is when you could go buy CDs. You know? But I remember when I first put it in, I thought, wow, that is incredible, you know. And I'd heard all these other songs. And then the Eddie, just the entire record was just on fire. You know,
Absolutely
I mean,
was.
No pun. But he was incredible. The entire record, he was just blistering. Like he definitely had something to prove, you know.
Yeah.
And he did. I mean, he changed the world with it.
He absolutely did. He absolutely did. And Eruption, I remember hearing people say that they didn't know what that was, whether it was a keyboard, whether it was synthesizers, you know, where they had 3 or 4 guitars being overdubbed. And that was one take, wasn't it?
Yeah,
from Eddie. And if you listen, I've heard in interviews where Eddie says there's a mistake in there. If you can find it, let me know.
Yeah, he's tapping up here. He goes one too little or one too far. But the funny thing was, you know, it wasn't really supposed to be on the record. It was he was warming up. Is what the story's always been.
Right.
And you know, the producer or engineer wouldn't come in and heard him and thought, whoa, roll tape. And it was funny. The guy who was sitting behind the soundboard said, "I already am."
Yeah,
you know, because it was incredible. You know, nothing ever sounded that way.
No.
You know.
And, you know, that first album, he talked about love, you know, was always one of my favorites as well, Running with the Devil. You know, I'm not sure as far as people's favorite songs from that. It's hard to choose one from that record.
It is. To me, I'm the One is my favorite, just because the entire song, it's Eddie. I mean, he's just, the rhythm is insane.
Yeah.
Not to mention the leads, but, I mean, Eddie's got his, he's shuffling, man. It's just a fast blues, and it's just, it's amazing.
That's something else that people don't recognize about Eddie's playing. He's so percussive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, incredible rhythm player.
Yeah, and, he I always thought of Eddie was as a rhythm player who could play leads over top of his own rhythm.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was. Yeah.
And Nuno Betancourt reminds me of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love for Nuno. Yeah, for sure.
So if you go from there to Van Halen 2, now big shoes to fill.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
After the first album. So
Sorry,
Van Halen 2.
My list.
Oh, yeah. Van Halen 2,
Oh, yeah.
For me, I've always been a fan of kind of the lighter side. So Dance the Night Away.
Was it? Yeah.
One of my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm not a great guitar, show off song, but I love the pop and the solo in that.
It is. It's
where
cool
he's tapping up top.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was super cool, I thought. And
it was.
Actually, one of the few licks I learned how to play because I'm not that great a guitar player.
funny story about that. I was just listening to a Van Halen interview. Like all us fans, we've been listening to Eddie, everything Van Halen for the last week. And so Eddie was talking about during that tour, they parachuted into they had stunt doubles parachuting on stage. And he said the funniest thing is when they parachuted in, the song they went into was Dance the Night Away. And he thought, oh my gosh, of all the hard-hitting songs, he said they were trying to play it double fast. And he said, when is this song ever going to end, Yeah. And, it was just so funny to hear him talk about it.
Yeah.
But for me, Somebody Give Me a Doctor is my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because it had so many different techniques. And just, again, you're like, well, how does that sound that way? Or, you know what I mean? He's doing these... doing volume swells and stuff.
Yeah, something that would come into prominence later with Cathedral.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so, but we'll get to that. But Somebody Give Me a Doctor, Michael Anthony on that song.
Man. I mean, the vocals, incredible.
Yeah. And Michael is one of the greatest bass players and vocalist. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
No, he's incredible.
I thought he was overshadowed by Eddie a lot.
Yeah,
but
hard not to be.
And he understood his role.
He did. He was what a rhythm section, And Alex, I mean, he's just phenomenal. It's funny. Anytime I've played in any bands, when we go to learn Van Halen, it's never a quit. Like everybody thinks about the guitar, and then the drummer will listen to it, and they're like, "Oh my!" It's really intense.
Yeah, and I think about that a lot. Later albums, some of the very intricate stuff that Alex does. The first thing that pops in my mind is. Aftershock and Amsterdam on the balance record. We'll get to that stuff too.
Pleasure Dome, Carnal Knowledge.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That
was kind of like in the '91 tour. That was like their solo section.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
played that. But yeah, so moving there onto the next album.
Yeah, what is it? Women and Children First.
Women and Children First. Yeah.
So what's yours?
Oh man.
I know. I always loved the song.
Oh yeah,
the little acoustic thing. I thought it was so great. Yeah, it's humorous.
I'm not. It's hard to pick a favorite from that. What about you?
Fools.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie's it's just nasty. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's so aggressive and so it just. And what was the other one? Take Your Whiskey Home.
Very bluesy.
Oh yeah.
Now let's talk about the guitar that he was using there. I know that he had borrowed a guitar from Chris Holmes from Wasp.
Yeah, I think it was another Ibanez Destroyer.
Right, because he had destroyed his.
Yeah, he took a saw to it.
Yeah, that shark they call it.
Yeah.
But
which he recorded a lot of the first record with that guitar.
Yeah, but who takes a chainsaw to a guitar? Yeah.
I forget which song it was. He was trying. I can't even remember which album or song, but he was doing a slide part, and he was using SG, and the horn was getting in his way. So he took a hacksaw or a sawzall or something and just chopped it off right there in the studio.
It must be nice to do that. You know what?
I don't think it was his guitar though.
That's what kills me. He does stuff to. Not his guitar.
Yeah, incredible.
Absolutely. Well, let's go to Fair Warning.
Yeah.
Fair Warning. I don't know how you can be Unchained, man.
Mean Street.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
You
I
know?
guess you can. Yeah.
Well, Unchained, though, it's the perfect, you're going 95 and you want to go faster song.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, it's just take no names, you know?
Yeah.
But, when that record first comes on and he's doing the...
Yeah, play me a little of that.
Oh, I'm not good enough at it at all. So, but, he's doing...
Oh, yeah.
And then he does all the harmonics and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all great to me, right? But when he does that, it has a groove that's Van Halen to me. It's the groove of that song. It's phenomenal. Yeah,
it's incredible. I guess so. You're choosing Mean Street.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go Unchained.
Unchained. Unchained is great. It really is. And I'll tell you, Unchained. Here, let me tune this down for just a second. Sorry, viewers. Unchained is so cool. The beginning's cool, right? But the coolest thing in that song, man, is the little bridge or the pre-chorus. And I'm playing it right now, too. But man, we were working that out in a band that I play with some.
Yeah.
And gosh, man, what an intricate part of the song.
Yeah,
it's just phenomenal.
Well, he was known for having bits and pieces of songs that he would marry together to create one song.
The thing that amazes me about Unchained is that's the part of the song he decided to do the solo over. You know what I mean? It's the craziest part of the song. It's I'm like feeling bad for the bass player, Poor Michael trying to keep up with that.
Yeah. Well, you can't. You can't. And there are stories where he would ask Eddie, or Eddie would write his own bass line to it.
Oh yeah,
and then show it to Mike. And you know what, man? I'd ask him to do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want me to play?
Yeah, I would too. Yeah. My gosh. Well, I think Eddie, like a lot of songwriters, he probably had the whole thing in his head before he presented it. He knew exactly what he wanted everything to be.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize he was a great bass player too. He played on a bunch of Sammy stuff.
Yeah.
And so, play great keyboardist, all
and
around.
I'm sure he's somewhere on some Van Halen records playing bass. Well, later he played, on Carnal Knowledge. He played a 6-string bass or a double neck guitar.
Yeah. Very rare.
Yeah. Very cool guitar.
Yeah. 6-string bass, and it was a purple one, I believe.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Was that Spanked?
Yeah.
Spanked.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Well, okay, so moving on to Diver Down. Now, Diver Down's either you love it or you hate it.
Woo! So I'll tell you my thing about Diver Down.
Go ahead.
It's probably my favorite guitar tone. Probably.
Yeah.
Just because it's more raw, and it sounds like it's just the amps dying, and it's just Eddie's just really trying his hardest to make it
squeeze
sound.
every
pinch out of it. Yeah. So what do you like off Diver Down?
Where all the good times gone.
Oh
I would probably have to say that.
Oh, yeah.
I liked the Pretty Woman song, but I
could never.
It's hard.
Okay.
It's okay. I don't know how that became the hit off of that song, that CD. Probably, good times. Yeah.
Hang 'em High.
Oh yeah,
and Full Buck, man. To me, the guitar work and the vocals and everything about it's just gosh, man. I wonder how rushed they were making that record when I listened back to it.
They were probably
pretty because they toured every year. I mean, so
and I've always read that the reason that album's half covers is because they were in such a rush.
Dancing in the Street, right? It was on there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
So I never really. I mean, it's great because if I hear it come on the radio, it's still Van Halen and it makes me happy.
It's very popish,
but
it was some
his
early
guitar tone. I was just telling a friend of mine about this the other day. He said. At work, they've been playing the Van Halen channel, and he said, "If Dancing in the Street comes on one more time, I'm gonna." And so, but I told him, I said, the funny thing about that is that's my favorite guitar tone Eddie ever had was on the solo for that. And I don't know why, and it's almost like he hated it too, and so he did something to make it great. You know what I mean? It's
it's funny. I just realized what I said. I said that song was a little pop for me, but yet I'm the one who likes Dancing the Night Away.
Yeah, Dancing the Night Away is fine.
But yeah,
you know, it's funny on those songs like "Dance the Night Away." It really shows their harmonies. You know, like you said, Michael was great, but Eddie was too. I mean,
and see, people don't know that about Ed.
They don't. He was a good singer.
Yeah.
I mean,
very good at harmony.
Very good harmony singer. And now it's funny. You can watch, where they take the tracks apart. What is that called?
The Isolation tracks.
Isolation. Yeah. And so you go back and Rick Beato was doing a video, and he did "Running with the Devil."
Yeah.
And you don't really realize it, man. What incredible harmonies! You know, I mean, they sound like a '50s, barbershop band.
Oh
whatever,
yeah. If you listen to the live right here, right now from '93 album, that double CD they did.
Yeah.
I was watching that DVD, and they had Eddie up in the mix. They had his vocal up in the mix, and you could really
I remember that because on Right Now you can really hear him say
right now. Yeah. And so it's really prominent there. So check that out if you want to hear Eddie sing some more. But then we moved to probably their biggest commercial success, 1984.
Jump.
I love the keyboard stuff. I started out as a keyboardist, and I love Jump.
Well, I mean, he did it before, on what's Cradle Will Rock. Yeah.
But came to prominence with Jump and then Panama, and those are. I don't know about you, but I've heard those songs so many times. It's hard. It's hard to pick one of those is my favorite. Yeah. I like Top Jimmy.
Well, okay. I was going to say that's my second favorite off that record.
Yeah.
For sure. So if you had to choose, what's your favorite? Absolute favorite off that record? That's probably my favorite Van Halen record.
I would say. I like Drop Dead Legs.
Drop Dead Legs, yes.
I would say Drop Dead Legs.
Yeah. When he first hits that guitar, man, it almost, it's like, then what's about to happen?
Yeah, so I would probably say that.
Yeah. Girl Gone Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Is definitely, Top Jimmy, I think, is incredible, all the harmonics and the things. He was tuned open, so, or a different tuning. So, but, Girl Gone Bad, and it, I remember when I was young, we'd go to the school bus stop. My mom, thankfully, when on the cold winter days, she would drive us, and so we'd be sitting there in the car. And they had a cassette tape in 1984 in the thing, And, man, I would just rewind it over and over and over listening to Girl Gone Bad because it's just the rhythm. But then he gets into the solo, and it's just, I don't know, man. That whole record. Plus, his playing changed quite a bit on that record.
I feel like that he was moving towards a different style of music.
He was,
and he was trying to prove himself. I think he was proving himself to members of his band.
Well, it was his studio.
Yeah.
It was his songs.
That's the first one they recorded, 5150.
Yeah.
And so I think he had a lot to prove.
He did. Yeah.
Even from the outside looking in, he didn't have anything to prove.
No.
But he felt the weight on
to himself.
To himself.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a lot of problems internally in the band at that time. And just trying to show, hey, we can do this, and I can produce it, and it still be killer. And they did, the keyboard intro.
Yeah. Yeah.
To
1984.
I love. So one of my favorite things.
Do you remember? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you see them in 07?
Yes.
The coolest thing about that concert to me, other than that it was the first time they were back with David, was that they actually played 1984. And I'll never forget being in the Coliseum in Charlotte, and the building is
rumbling.
Oh man, it was incredible, and I thought, wow, I have such a new love for that. And so now, if I listen to the record,
that's what you think of.
Oh yeah, man, and I'm just like got the stereo in the car or whatever, dimes, just.
The cool thing about the later tours is that there are full shows on YouTube. You can go back and check out full shows from 07, and watch entire shows and see how these things unfolded. It's much rarer to see those things back in. I love the tour from '83 and the subsequent tour.
Yeah. When Eddie's crazy and running up and jumping against the speaker cabinets and bouncing off it. What was that shirt that had dice on it? Remember that? Yeah. It was so crazy, man. But what energy,
Total energy. And things imploded in the band after that. And moving on to the first album I ever bought when I was 10 years old, I walked from my house to downtown Newton, where I lived at the time, and it was about 2 miles.
Yeah.
To buy
Did you?
5150. Yeah.
Yeah. What a cool feeling we don't get to have anymore.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I remember doing that, and
My dad and I were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
How you get so excited to go pick up a record or a CD. Or
now I'm super excited to stream it. Not really.
Oh man.
But I'll never forget. And the reason I did that was because MTV had just aired Live Without a Net.
Yeah.
And the album had already been out for a little bit.
Is that how that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And so the album had already been out for a little bit. They did 5150 show, and I was like, man, I got to go buy that.
Yeah.
And so I went and bought it. And man, that album changed my life.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I became a huge fan. There's so many good songs on there. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to choose one, but if I had to choose a favorite guitar song, it'd have to be Summer Nights. Summer Nights or 5150. Yeah. The song 5150's got a killer riff in it.
That's my pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Summer Nights is cool though because what a different set. There's Eddie again innovating. I mean,
using the Steinberger.
Yeah, trans trim and doing the whole thing. What a crazy sound.
It was insane. Yeah. And I saw him. There was hope that he was going to break that back out again because I know that he sent that guitar to the original builder about 2 years ago
to get it restored.
And I was like, oh, what's that mean?
Yeah.
What's that mean? People were reading into every little thing that was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Hoping for a reunion of some sorts. But yeah, so for me, 5150, how about you?
Dreams.
Yeah.
Just because there's something about, and I totally forgot how to play this part of the song, but after the main solo toward the end of the song, they do a chorus or a verse or whatever it is, and then Eddie does this tapping thing, man, and to me it's one of the most beautiful things he ever tapped. Okay. But the whole song, it's
that sends shivers up my spine to think about that because that little tapping section was my favorite part of that entire album.
Isn't it?
But the live version.
The live one, yeah.
Because in the live version, he actually goes up higher than he does on the record.
And he's like,
or whatever it is. It showed it on when I found out he passed away. I was driving down the road on I-40, and I had pulled over, and I was just like listening to some Van Halen stuff, and the only thing I posted on Facebook was the live version of Dreams from the Whiskey show. The gig they did there, and that was an actual video they had on MTV at the time, and that version they do there is probably my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible. And he played that little lick, and just the way I liked it, I was like, man, it's so cool.
For sure. Yeah,
but incredible. You can't go wrong with any of that.
No,
that
you
stuff. Can't. Get Up was amazing.
Yeah, another one with the trans trim, and he's changing keys throughout the song and doing all these crazy things. Eddie Van Halen.
That's right.
That's who.
It's incredible. It really is.
Notice you've never heard anyone else use one like that, have you? Not that I can remember.
I don't think they can.
I don't know how they could either. I can't.
But when I think about that album, there's not one. I don't think there's a bad song on there.
No, it's a great record. I really like. I know this is like. I like the last song in the inside.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just because it's a strange thing.
Strange.
It's the bass is just thumping, and but Eddie's licks that he's playing in between all this stuff, his little solo that he does, I just think is just it's as Eddie as you can get.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So he does all these little tricks, with the horse and
and I love that tour they did. If you've not seen, I don't know what Van Halen fan has not seen Live Without a Net.
It's pretty much hard to.
That video, as much as Van Halen 1 changed the way people play guitar, I think that the solo and the video Live Without a Net inspired a whole new generation.
Oh yeah.
Because think about it, that was 86 versus 77. That inspired a whole new generation of people to pick up.
You could finally see what he was doing.
You could see what he was doing. And I locked myself in my room for the summer after my 9th grade year of high school, just trying to learn Eruption.
Yeah.
That solo that he was doing. And that's where you hear 316 for the first time. And that would come back later on. But
to me, there's nothing that ever, all that music gives you chills and makes your hair stand up. But when Eddie sits down on the edge of the stage and he's just real gentle.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, there's 20,000 people there yelling at him, and he's sitting there on the edge of the stage like he's in his bed, like he's in his living room on the couch.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy just, he knew he had him eating out the palm of his hand at that point.
Yeah.
And he was having fun.
Then he looks up and grins out. just lets it ring.
And that's the first time you got to actually see what he was doing on that little B flat run.
Yeah.
Eruption. And I was telling my girlfriend about this, and I was like, that one section of Eruption, it's probably sold more guitars than anything else that I would know of. And people learning how to play just that one set. You walk in any guitar shop in the country, and
somebody's tapping
and trying to figure out that little B flat run.
It's very true. Yeah.
And if breaking it down, that's not the hardest part of that song.
Not even close. Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. Yeah,
it really is. Hit me with some of that.
Let's see. Wrong note, but unfortunately, it wasn't the same one Eddie hit.
The killer, but that lick.
Yeah, lick. Going back to Van Halen 2, we were talking about earlier, Spanish Fly.
Oh,
too, that to me was like unbelievable sounding, and then seeing Live Without a Net, he's doing all that, he's picking things that you heard in Spanish Fly or and so before that, it just, again, it's just like Eruption. You had no idea how he was really doing it, unless you were there with the binoculars.
And so that video, and specifically that section of Live Without a Net, his solo is, it's almost like it's like going to school.
It is. It is.
For guitar players.
Yeah, and like you said, even the Mean Street thing, and then he was doing all these crazy things, and then Cathedral.
I had no clue what was going on in Cathedral until I watched that. I was like, what is he doing?
I remember when I heard it when I was young, and my dad, he was like, yeah, he's doing with his volume knob. And I was like, what do you mean, Dad? I'm looking at my dad right now. I'm like, what can you show me? And but it was until I saw, you figure out what Eddie's doing, and you're like, oh, okay. And not to mention all the sounds, he's been doing all this stuff. But
incredible. And moving on to the next album, 88.
Yes.
They had an album called OU812, and we were talking before we started filming that album's, from the people I've discussed it with, poppy, keyboard laced, and I was like, you are not listening.
You're not listening to the same record.
My favorite song on it, it would have to be a tie between Sucker and a Three-Piece and Source of Affection. Now, Source sounds like old Van Halen to me. Like it could have been on two, or probably one or two.
At the end of that song, they're going back and forth between Sammy singing and Eddie doing a lick, and Eddie does the same little run that he did in I'm the One, type of thing, And I remember hearing that. I was like, oh, God, Eddie still got it.
He still got it. Yeah. His tone was different in this album.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it was this guitar, and he was using the Eventide harmonizer, and, he had a big stereo guitar sound, which
it's going through
I love,
That was the Soldano head, I believe.
Yeah, probably was, yeah. No, it was still his Marshall. He didn't use the Soldano until the Carnal Knowledge record.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But, AFU Naturally Wired is right there.
Oh,
just because that one, and When It's Love, because I loved the video when I was a kid, but also his guitar tone. Again, I'm a tone junkie,
sure.
And it was a Strat. It wasn't his Strat guitars, and he kind of played a bunch of like Clapton kind of licks, and it was really bluesy. But just the sheer tone of it, I thought was phenomenal.
I love that song, but again, for me, it's the live version.
Oh yeah.
The one they did on the
when Sammy's playing.
Yeah, the live Here Right Now version.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Man, I keep thinking about other songs that I would have liked.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about 5150 and Love Walks In, because Sammy was playing guitar on that. Okay, and just a side note. So I'm sure you've seen it a billion times, just like I have. Love Walks In, Live Without a Net. Sammy's playing the solo. Eddie's on keyboards, and Eddie's watching him play the solo. And he's just laughing at him like, you go ahead, man. Oh my God, I got your daddy coming up in a little bit.
You think Sammy was nervous?
Oh, please.
It's probably the first time, especially.
Probably the first time. He held his own. so next we're going to hit Carnal Knowledge. Carnal Knowledge in 1991, I believe it was.
Yeah, so 91.
Right there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Van Halen albums. I think it's because of where I was in my life at the time. Return to rock and roll for those guys.
Yeah.
I remember they were battling it out with Metallica's Black album as to who was going to be number one. Went back and forth. But I love that album, man.
Yeah. What a great sounding album. The drums, man.
Yeah.
Pound Cake comes in, and it's just
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think that Eddie was in a different place in his life. Wolfgang had just been born. I think his priorities had changed a little bit. And when I think about that album, there's so much good stuff on there. As we talked about earlier, Eddie had a 6-string bass on Spanked, the double neck guitar, the four-finger tapping on Judgment Day.
Yeah.
I love Judgment Day. I love Pound Cake, but man, I think
Judgment Day, by the way, was so they say was the last time he used his 5150 Kramer on a record.
Really?
Was that song? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which is always special to me because that's my favorite guitar.
Yeah. Man, if I have to think about a favorite song, man, it's got to be Top of the World.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that one when I was doing my list.
Yeah, I remember driving to school every morning.
What a happy song.
To Top of the World, and a great guitar playing on there.
It is.
It's a little bit on the popish side.
Yeah. I think that's Eddie's first wah on a record, too.
Yeah, and if you look at the video for that, he's playing he's got 3 single coils.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, and a stop tailpiece.
Yeah.
On it's like a Sunburst EVH music band.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, if you check out that video for that song. And so, but yeah, I love Top of the World.
Yeah, right now.
Oh, yeah.
That entire record to me is just incredible. But that song, just because you actually finally hear Eddie really play piano, and there's a live. I don't know if you saw where him and Sammy are doing it was a benefit in the early '90s, and Eddie's playing piano. Yep. And they do a live right now, and Eddie, you got to help him. He sounded great the whole time, but you really hear him play, and he does this awesome little blues run at the end of the song where he jumps back into key because he's changed, and it's just so cool.
That's a cool video. There's also a section of that where he's playing a Parker Fly.
Yeah. He does the Spanish Fly tapping and parts of it and stuff.
That's killer. That's a great song. You can't go wrong.
Worlds. Yeah.
Oh,
we didn't even say that song. That's a great song.
That's a great song too, and I like The Streamer's Over, a little hidden track on. On Carnal Knowledge, but I like that song a lot too.
The solo, man, on The Stream Is Over. Yeah, just that intro run, it's incredible. It's Eddie.
Yeah, and that was the third song from the end of the tour. The Carnal Knowledge tour.
Was it?
Okay.
Yeah. I remember hearing it on the on the DVD or the CD right here, right now.
And moving on, I know we've gone a long time, man, but it's just fun to sit back and talk.
We haven't even talked about guitars and
and all that. Let's go to Balance, man. Balance, dark record, I thought. Dark had some light moments, but I think there was some tension in the band at the time, and it showed.
It did. Balance, my favorite song of all time is Feelin', period. Just something about it, you know what I mean? But it does have some dark moments, but it has some happy things too, And Eddie's guitar playing to me, because he was sober, I think that was his first time really being sober for any amount of time.
Right.
And God, he played his butt off.
That
tour is unbelievable, and and his guitar tone on that record is, it's otherworldly. There's tons of stuff where people were all of us online trying to figure out what in the world. Kind of like the first record.
Yeah. For me, it's got to be Aftershock.
Oh yeah.
Killer song.
Or what? I can't remember how to play it out, but it's something like that.
Yeah, and another one where the drums were playing almost to an off beat, and they were playing over to. I think just being brothers, they were kind of.
Oh yeah.
It was natural to them.
Yeah, and then it had like Luchatherium, the instrumental, and then the drum one too, that I can never remember the name of, and but in Amsterdam and
and Don't Tell Me, some of the highest vocals that Sammy Hagar ever had.
Oh yeah,
and he still hits them to this day.
And there's Eddie again innovating, doing the the pick for the rhythm,
and drop D, I believe thing, right?
Yeah, so I was gonna play it, and I was like, no.
Seventh Seal, dark but great song as well, and moving on. From Balance, probably the most critical non-success was Van Halen 3. Gary Sharon But I'll tell you, I love that album.
Oh yeah.
You know, as a guitar
that's a
player
great
and
album.
loving Eddie Van Halen, man, they've got a song on there called "Year to the Day,"
Yeah.
which I love. If you've ever heard
heard
"Year to the Day," you got to check that. I love "Without You." I think that Sharon sounds like a young Sammy Hagar on that song, and Eddie's playing's unbelievable. But "A Year to the Day" for Van Halen.
Yeah, man. Yeah, when I first heard that, I was like, "Oh man, I have to figure out how to play that." There were no videos, you know.
No, I read somewhere where they were looking for Van Halen and Eddie in particular had started writing his own "Stairway to Heaven," quote unquote.
Yeah.
And that's when Sammy left.
Yeah.
And it ended up being "Year to the Day."
I can see that. It's A minor. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the story with that when he recorded the record. I don't know how true it is. I've just heard it. You know, is that it was the PV-5150s just, and I think he had 3 full stacks is what I read, and cranked. You know, and it's just he comes in, you know, with this real low, just like look, you know, what is that?
Yeah.
Was it "One I Want"? Is that the name of the
"One
song?
I Want"? Yeah.
I love that song. I think the harmonies in it are cool lyrically. I think it's really cool. And the drums are great. Eddie's great. And then I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Go for it.
Nobody's ever going to agree with me on this, but How Many Say I?
Mm-hmm.
If there were no vocals on it, it would be one of my favorite things ever, because you hear Eddie doing things that he never, you know, I mean, he's playing cello, he's playing violin, his piano playing is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful.
It really shows his musicianship.
Oh yeah. Like in my mind, I'm like, what does Eddie sound like if he plays something that we've never heard him play? You know, and that's it.
That's
you know,
it.
And so I love it.
Yeah, somebody sent me that the night he passed away.
Really?
Yeah, and said this song made me cry.
Yeah,
and I was like, I can see that,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. It really is.
It is.
It's in a haunting way.
In a haunting way, and even Eddie's broken vocal. There's things about that I love because it's really honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the fact he felt like he couldn't get anybody else to sing it, and he wanted to do it himself.
And for somebody who was known to be such an incredibly shy person, the guts that it probably took to do it. You know?
Sure. And so, moving on from there, let's go ahead and
different kind of truth. Yeah.
Different kind of truth, man. I love
Tattoo's your favorite, right? It's a good song.
I like the guitar work in Tattoo.
I do too. Yeah, and it's a cool song.
You know, what about you? What do you
Blood
think?
and Fire is my favorite.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Because it's the only song on the record where Eddie's guitar, again, a tone junkie over here, his guitar tone sounds like old Van Halen because it's cleaner.
Yeah.
And it isn't, a lot of this, and I also liked As Is and Honey Baby Sweetie Doll or whatever David, David's
again, David Lee Roth's
but
song titles.
Eddie's using the sustainer on those and doing all this crazy stuff, and it's just, it's cool.
Yeah.
And we left one out. I was going to mention Humans Being. In between balance.
In between, that on the greatest hits, on the best of there, you had Humans Being, that first time being on a Van Halen CD, and Can't Get This Stuff No More, Meanwhile Magic.
Yeah. They're all great.
They're all great, but Humans Being, if I had to choose a favorite Van Halen song of all time, it's Humans Being.
Oh, is it really? I'm sorry. I didn't.
No. We did skip over that.
When Eddie, man, that. But when how melodic and just incredible, and he does this like crazy, crazy stretch tapping,
crazy, and he had small hands. People don't realize Eddie was a small guy.
Yeah, Eddie was a short guy.
Yeah, and so but Humans Being my favorite of all time from Van Halen.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. What about you of all time? You said earlier.
Feelings probably. Yeah. But then I listen to anything else. I'm like, maybe that's it. Yeah. So, Feeling though, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But different kind of truth too. What was the bluesy one they did?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Oh my goodness, I can't. Why did I forget that? I listened to it just yesterday. But anyway, it was a cool throwback to Ice Cream Man, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. We left out the live albums, and we talked about them a little bit here and there. But
so I have just one question.
Sure.
For the whole thing. What was the first time you ever heard Van Halen?
First time I ever heard Van Halen was.
And what did it do to you?
Well, I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
As I said before, I was 10 years old watching MTV with my brothers. They turned me on to music in general because, at 5, I had older brothers. I had at 5, I was jumping on top of a bed with a tennis racket, pretending like I was Neil Sean with "Don't Stop Believing." I'll never forget that. And Kiss.
Yeah.
But it was sitting down and watching the MTV special "Live Without a Net."
Okay.
That's the first time I ever saw him. And I'll never forget, I was thinking about, it was years later, the first time I ever saw him live was 91 on the Carnal Knowledge tour. And my older brother,
I'm jealous.
my older brother was taking me.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget thinking to myself, I wonder if the concert's going to look exactly like I saw it. I didn't know concerts changed. But so I ended up going and going, like I said, I was in 91, I was 16, whatever. I walked down and I got a pic from the stage.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, it's a Sammy pic. I still have it.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And I was like, dude, I wonder if I can get one from Eddie next time. And so I saw the 91 tour. I saw the 93 tour twice in Charlotte and Raleigh. And then 96 Balance tour, I was front row and caught a pic from Eddie.
Oh man, lucky.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And the first thing I did was I brought it home and I wanted to make a necklace, so I put a big hole in the top. I was like, what is wrong with me? But that's what happened.
What would Eddie do?
What would Eddie do? Exactly.
Eddie do it.
But yeah, so it was 10 years old, Live Without a Net, and
very cool.
Trying to learn Love Walks In on my keyboard.
Yeah. Oh man.
What about you?
So when I was, I guess it was the mid '90s when they did the Balance tour and they did the Toronto.
Sure.
On pay-per-view, and so. Back then, everything, it was a big deal. Somebody orders pay-per-view. And my parents, let's see, I was young, I was, how old am I? But anyway, I was like 6 or 7, 8 years old, something like that.
Right.
And so they had went over to a friend's house and they had ordered that concert. And my parents probably don't even realize this, but they're watching it. And it was the first time I'd ever really heard Van Halen or knew that's what I was listening to when I was young. And hearing Eddie, man, it just changed my life forever.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget begging my dad after that, hey, Dad, because everybody recorded their, VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Can you get your copy of that? I want to watch that. And then he did. And so I'll never forget. But the funny thing was to me, when I saw Eddie, because Eddie had short hair then, I thought, God, that's not at all what I thought this dude would look like. Right. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And but then, so that was my first one, and then getting Live Without a Net, and being able to really hear how Eddie was doing the harmonics and doing the tapping and this and that. Mm. Cool story, when I saw him in 2015, and I didn't have the best seat, but I had on a really cool vintage 84 Van Halen shirt.
Right.
So this guy and his wife, they had front row seats. Now, I would love to say he gave me his ticket, but he did not. But what he did do is at the end of the show, he had walked by me and saw where I was sitting. He come and got me for the last song or two, and they ended with Jump, and drug me past security as fast as humanly possible right against the front edge of the stage. Yeah. And so I'm from here to you, or you're, to the camera from Eddie. Mm-hmm. On Eddie's side, and the dude's just staring there, confetti's falling, he's throwing picks. I wish I'd have caught one. Heck, I'd have kept a piece of confetti if I But it was just the coolest, most surreal moment ever, and it was unbelievably loud. But coolest Van Halen moment,
Yeah, I wish I'd have seen that tour in 15, but
it was really great. And then the last tour, did you see them on the last tour?
No. I missed it.
Eddie, man, he just played his butt off. He really did. He's playing as good as he ever did. And at the time he was 60 years old, and just phenomenal.
Yeah, I hate I missed that. But, it's it was crazy to me. I feel like that they were working up something magical for the last tour. And, we could get into the Dave versus Sammy argument, but
it's all Eddie.
It's all Eddie, and I think that Wolfgang smashed that with his comments, and I'm going to put a shot up of his comments.
Even more respect for him, and I already had a lot.
Tons, and I've never felt bad toward Eddie for replacing Michael with him. He wanted to keep it in the family. I understand that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so Wolfie said it's all Eddie. If you're doing yourself a disservice if you like one versus the other.
Yeah, you'd be crazy not to listen to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And quickly, I'd like to talk about just the guitars that he used and his evolution. Starting from the Frankenstrat up to this, and then from this and the 90s, he went to the Ernie Ball Music Man.
Yeah.
and the Eddie Van Halen model from there. We'll put a couple of shots up of those. But incredible guitars. That was the first dream guitar I ever had. Still to this day. I know you got one. I'm glad you didn't bring it.
Might be leaving with you.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I remember seeing a picture of Eddie. Actually, it was on the live right here now, and he was playing the double neck, and it was purple.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I had to have one. So it took me, all my life, but I finally got one, and it's purple. And gosh, what a ridiculous guitar!
Oh, they're amazing. They really are. And,
then the Wolfgang after.
That was
great.
That was a quick switch he did.
Yeah, well, he was already there with the 5150.
Mm-hmm.
Which is people don't understand how much Eddie changed everything from guitar playing to tone to how things are recorded to, but that amp really, inspired an entire generation of metal and different people,
Oh, yeah. And I remember, I say quick change because when Balance came out, the first single from that was Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. And they had they had a video on MTV. And it was in drop D. He was playing his 5150. Had 5150 letters on it. Ernie Ball Music.
Yeah.
And then he had the Not Enough.
The
video.
red one. No, it was Trans Amber, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And then Not Enough.
He's on the rooftop.
And he's playing a Wolfgang. I'm like, what? What is that?
What is that? Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
And then they did Letterman.
Funny story about that guitar. I love that guitar, and so I built a copy of it. But I love that. And the red one from Letterman,
Yeah, that's a great great guitar, man. And,
for sure.
And then, of course, he teamed up with Fender.
Yeah,
and for EVH, and they're all great. They really are. And
they are. They're all Eddie. Everybody changes over time, and they want different things, and so it's just the evolution. But
it would have been awesome to see where he went from there.
Oh yeah, probably a Les Paul. Although,
he has played them.
Yeah.
But man, it's been a treat sitting here talking with you. I'm sorry to keep you so long today,
Right.
But sitting back talking about Eddie and how he affected our lives.
Yeah.
People way before us. There was he changed the world in '77 with the first album, and then in my opinion, when 5150 came out and the Live Without a Net video, changed the world again, and then he was doing it again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so he truly is.
And he changed the world in so many ways. Like we were talking earlier, that just the friendships that people have because of Van Halen. I can't tell you how many people are in my life, including you, who you may not see for years and years, but because you had that connection, it's a lifetime friendship.
Absolutely.
A real good friend of mine, his name's Chris Klontz. I met him because of Eddie.
Yeah.
And lifelong friend. I met him when I was like 15 years old. And he, and it's amazing the conversations my dad and I, or I'm sure you've had with your son, and all of us have with each other because of some guy we never met, but who dramatically impacted our lives.
Absolutely. Man, thank you so much. If you want to play us out with something, I appreciate you very, very much.
For sure.
All right, and if you want to know more about anything that we talked about here, you can contact us here at guitarwishes.com. Check out our Facebook site, and be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel where we are posting up new content daily. We'll talk to you soon.
Cruising for a bruising.